Welcome to the Conscious Publicist Podcast, a space where thoughts become ideas to advocate for a more conscious human experience in the media. Our thoughts and ideas inspire action, and the most notable leaders and organizations have transformed thoughts and ideas into global initiatives that have impacted the lives of millions. My name is Ashley Graham, and as a woman-owned business founder and publicist, I guide leaders, visionaries, and creators in discovering their conscious media voice and methodologies that inspire connection, community, and impact through aligned media channels. In this podcast, we'll dive into public relations, thought leadership, business, and entrepreneurship, all through the lens of being a conscious human being. I'll take you behind the scenes into the habits, thoughts, and modalities that have helped leaders shift past paradigms of limiting beliefs, comparison, and self-doubt to show up for themselves to become the subject matter experts they were called to be. Subscribe to the show on Apple or Spotify and join us on this journey of awakening the conscious, enlightened leader within you. "2024 has been off to an incredible start. One of my biggest goals for this year, but also the years to come, is to utilize my voice more in public platforms. Obviously, the podcast is going to be a big focus of mine this year, but where I feel also guided and led is to use my voice to talk about my insights, my methodologies, the wealth of knowledge that I have always circulating in my mind, and bringing that to other people's podcasts, or coming and doing mentorship opportunities, or speaking at events just to guide people through some sort of transformation. I had about 3 speaking engagements this past month, and I'm getting ready to look at the months to come to see what opportunities are available, which brought me back into this calling, if you will, that I am meant and designed to use my voice in a way that it provides a transformation for at least one other person. This inspires me to talk about the speaking engagement that I had last week, which was speaking and mentoring the students at Vanguard University as part of the Media Hub. Now, I was invited to speak to the communications, public relations, marketing, and business students in this Media Hub by the professor who was leading it probably about 6 months ago. And we had scheduled that engagement to happen in January, which I thought was actually really perfect because it really spoke to the energy of a new year and really feeling into what our goals and aspirations are. So being able to start the month with not only 1, not only 2, but 3 speaking engagements for January, it really kind of fueled this directive, and it's something really exciting. What I wanted to do here is to recap my conversation with the students as part of this Media Hub, because it was a really transformative conversation because I was able to watch the expressions. I was able to be a part of the engagement, and I was able to see how responsive the students were when it came to wanting to know more and their piqued curiosity around the parts of the industry that I might be able to shed some light and perspective on. And that is so fulfilling for me. I am always connected to young, inquiring minds because I feel like I am always a young, inquiring mind. One of the beautiful characteristics that I feel that we are given when we are children is this heightened sense of curiosity. And that is a quality that I still hold through and through each chapter of my life, as I am always connecting to curiosity around things that I want to learn about, things that I want to know more about, or areas of curiosity that I know that I can expand as a person. So, knowing that about myself, it just brings me into this deeper connection with people who also possess the same characteristics or the same qualities. And that to me is students. It's people who are in these education environments because they're curious, they want to learn more, they want to know more, and they are seeking the right guidance and knowledge and insights from those who are admirable and those that they know that they can learn more from. And so this was probably one of the highlights of the month so far. And I say that lightly because I get so lit up by a lot of different engagements and a lot of different experiences just because I am such a connected person. But there was definitely something very special about this. But again, I think it just connects to young minds and the connection that comes from being in a safe environment to talk about my expertise and to really pay it forward to those who are wanting to find their way in this work. To get the recap started, I wanted to mention that the topic for our workshop was called Mastering the Art of Public Relations. Now, I like to keep my workshops or any speaking engagement very conversational. Unless it's a digital speaking engagement where slides would be beneficial, I primarily keep the space open to create more dialogue and add more narrative. So I came to the students basically just engaging and interacting with them in a very conversational format. So, to get us started, I had talked about my past experience with my previous business leading into the Conscious Publicist. I come from a multifaceted background of all areas of marketing. But one of the things that really lights me up the most when it comes to public relations is this intersection of thought leadership and PR. I also have a very traditional background and pulse of public relations marketing, just given my 15 years of experience in this industry. So I've been able to connect past, present, and future in this industry that I think is also really impactful to basically talk about all of these different touching points as the industry as a whole. So I led in with my story of what led me into thought leadership PR and the intersection that PR truly is the hub of all forms of marketing. When I pursued my education to get my bachelor's in business and management as well as marketing, PR was only an influence in that program. But being now in this industry for 15 years, I believe that PR really is the catalyst for all other forms of marketing. And I'll kind of dive into that a little further, but also what I touched upon with the students. But I always kind of like to think of the image of a spider web or the spider chart. So you have public relations dead set in the center as the main predominant influence, but all of the other elements that expand from that centralized focus goes into digital marketing, affiliate marketing, you go into paid media, earned media, owned media, shared media, social media, PR, media relations, those kind of are influenced with one another, thought leadership, speaking, all of these other facets of this matrix all serve PR because PR is all around public relations, public perspective, public perception, public influence, public response. And again, PR is the centralized category of all of these moving parts of this marketing mix. And I think that that's really incredible. Again, that's why I've been able to niche in this industry. Again, there's all these other facets of the work of what I do with clients, but it all serves this public impact, this public perspective, this public resonance of the client, of the brand, of the business, and how they connect and influence and impact and educate and guide their audience. By being able to lead into this image exercise with the students, this actually opened up some of the first questions that were asked, which was students wanting to gain clarity around other forms of media that lives within the PR umbrella, but also is more so recognized as its own entity. So podcasting became part of the conversation, and TikTok and social media became part of the conversation, which I do feel that that is what people are able to recognize more when they hear PR or when they hear media. And again, that's all one of these facets of PR and media. But at the end of the day, one of the most biggest influences of PR and media is not necessarily the vertical, the medium itself. It's the living, breathing energy of that medium or of that media or of that channel that speaks to the connection. It speaks to the impact. It speaks to the conversation. And that lives within PR and communications. All of those platforms are striking up conversations from the people who are creating the content and publishing it on the media platforms, but then to those that are resonating with the content and those that are choosing to be a part of the conversation. I want to segue into one of the questions that a student had asked, which is in correlation with what I had just mentioned, but also ties into our self-mastery series. And I think this will also bring or shed some light as to why self-mastery exists in this reality of PR, communications, the digital space, media, and basically just human experience. But I had a student ask what I would do, or somebody in my position, what we would do if there was a negative toned piece of media created that could have been taken out of context of what the initial conversation piece was. I'm going to workshop this. There wasn't an actual platform that was mentioned, but gathering what I was sensing the student was hinting at was the reality that if you share a video on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and somebody can clip that content and then remix it or then shed light on their own perspective, either directly correlating with the clip of the video or in this case, completely missing the main perspective that was highlighted in the piece of content and almost creating a polarizing viewpoint. For some reason, this takes me back to debate class when I was pursuing my bachelor's degree. And again, this is completely off topic, but on topic. But one of the things that I was so appreciative about having that class is it was able to frame this perspective that you can still be in connection and relationship with other people when you do not have the same ideals, the same perspectives, or the same pulse around a particular topic or around a particular experience. Now, myself as a person, again, highlighting what I had talked about in the self-mastery series, is self-mastery is not something that you would think immediately when you envision PR, media relations, communications, marketing, whatever the business identifier is. Self-mastery can almost lead more into this coaching and personal development space. But the thing is, every environment brings out moments to find better growth within yourself and growth within how you are in relation with other people. And this is again, going back to this workshopped question and answer, is I led with my response to the student that at the end of the day, there are millions and millions and millions and millions of people in this world that we all have similarities to a degree, but we have different life experiences. We have different perspectives. We have different opinions. That's what is able to create this conscious diversity into who we are. That's how we're able to have our very own unique imprints with us as people, as an individual. So it's a very beautiful characteristic. It's a very beautiful thing. But with different people, different perspectives comes just this inevitable reality that not everyone is going to be directly aligned with who you are. They're not going to really always see your perspectives or see you for you because they don't know who you are. They don't see your everyday routines. They don't see your everyday environment. They don't have this connection of past, present, and future you, of how you have evolved, how you've expanded, how you've been able to take experiences from your past and change and adapt and mold into the better version of yourself that you can be in the present and in the future, and how that influences and impacts other people. A lot of people in the online digital space are not going to have this awareness of that depth of who you are, because social media or media in general is only one lens. It is only one lens, one glimpse, one light to who you are as a brand, as an individual. And so, not to get off too far off basis here, but I didn't really have an actionable recommendation for what to do in a moment like that. I led into the personal growth opportunity that comes with that. And again, I almost mold that into being in a debate class. You can be in debate with another person and not allow the debate, the lens in which you see your differences, overpower the connection that you can still have with that other person. So social media is a lens. It's different view in which you can see. But at the end of the day, you have free will, and it's up to you to use discernment on if you think that a different perspective is something worth your attention, your energy. But at the end of the day, sometimes experiences like this, it's just better to let it live out its short-lived energy, and then people move on. The thing is, we are always changing our attention and where we put our attention. And very short-lived experiences like that have a short fuse. But the thing is we are emotional beings. It is easy for us to get emotionally put off by people having different perspectives. But if you can lead into the personal growth of that experience and just acknowledge that it is okay for somebody to have a different perspective than you, if it's worthwhile, open up space to have a conversation with that person who has that difference to see if you can find connection and relatability. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that curiosity, again, curiosity, if you don't have that curiosity to take that connection further and have a conversation there, then just let it go. And chances are it is not going to have this amount of impact that you think it will have, because our emotions are invested. If you're able to take the emotion out of it and let whatever the thing is live out its short period of time, you can continue to move on. But at the end of the day, I always say open space for curiosity, open space for growth, and then try to take your emotions out of it as much as possible. That is what self-mastery is in this environment, in this reality, especially when it comes to digital media. The more that we can practice becoming a better version of ourselves by not being reactive, it creates space to, again, be able to have differences between each other within community. But at the end of the day, if you open conversation, if you open space, you can find relatability, you can find connection. But it takes a very strong-willed person to be able to lead with that. Reflecting back on this, as that was kind of a curveball question, it reminds me of another curveball question that another student had open space to workshop with me, which is what to do to find the right career path after you graduate. Again, I don't even know if I had the perfect answer to give to this student, but I want to open up space to talk about this because I know it's so relevant. I led into the answer to this question by putting myself into the shoes of the student. Now, when I was a recent grad, it came down to this crossroad. Finding a career path or finding a job opportunity really came down to two choices: need versus want. And from my perspective, or from my experience at that point in time, because of financial loans and those reactivating within 6 months upon graduating, my first career opportunity I took because of a need. Now, it was not the direct opportunity that correlated with my degree. But again, it gave me an opportunity to fill the financial well-being that I needed in my life at that moment. But one of the things that I am grateful for, and one of the things that I always anchored in when it came to my career leading up to starting my business, was each opportunity gave me space to take away this clarity around what I wanted versus what I didn't want. Now, when you're a recent grad, you only have your education to really create a basis off of. So when we take opportunities, again, regardless of if it's want or need, you're able to get this clarity around the things that you like from the opportunity or the things that you don't like from the opportunity, and then mold this perspective about what you might be looking for or what you might desire in your next opportunity. Now, I luckily had about 3 really defined, very different career environments that I had accepted to create this very well-rounded expertise and skill set that I probably would not have gotten if I had immediately just taken an opportunity or had been given an opportunity in marketing. I was led into many startup environments where I wore many hats. Now, did I really bring my marketing to the forefront of those positions? No, marketing was kind of the thing that had space to nurture when all of the other tasks and the other deliverables were completed. But I never lost sight of my drive for marketing and my education, my curiosity. I always had side projects. I always had hobbies that I did on the side that was able to continue to live and breathe marketing and expanding my skill sets, my experiences, and all the other things that come with that, in conjunction with also applying those skills to my job and vice versa. So when I was able to start my business, I was able to start it from a completely different perspective because I knew how to run a business. I knew how to start a business. I knew the operations of a business. And I'm very thankful for that. That again, at the end of the day, marketing, PR, thought leadership was always going to be an avenue that I was going to lead into because it was this driving energy, this driving force, this driving influence into all of the opportunities that I had accumulated and had all this experience from. Putting this outwards to a student who is inquiring around how to assess what is the right opportunity versus the wrong opportunity. Again, you don't have any basis to go off of when you're graduating. Now, you can either look at that as a hindrance or as a pitfall. But again, I always lead with mindset at the end of the day. And I know this is not like a direct action on what the student can do to work through this challenge and this hurdle that they're facing. But at the end of the day, marketing, communications, PR, or any industry that kind of lives within those 3, it's not linear. It's not linear. And the student, again, further prefaced this unclarity around what part of the industry to get into. Is it communications? Is it PR? Is it media relations? Is it media buying? And I had further supported my answer with the student that at the end of the day, the more clarity that you can have around what would be an ideal opportunity versus what is a nice to have versus a maybe not ideal, but would take to again fill some type of necessity or a need, and continue to keep an open mind that your career opportunities that you accept are not written in stone. You can change, you can adapt, you can shift, you can pivot. And that is one of the most expansive things about this industry. You can be in one position, and all the skills that you take from that one position, you can apply to another position, whether it directly aligns or it's vastly different. The skill sets that you take in this work can really be applied in every facet. Going back to the self mastery series or just some of the other things that I talk about, is if you are in a comms position or a comms industry, you are quite a multifaceted person because you have to bring this level of awareness, this level of attentiveness, self actualization of yourself first and foremost to even create impact and how that connects publicly. So I can always talk very positively about being in this industry because you learn so much. And the thing is opportunities truly are endless. There is always going to be a need, even in a world of AI. That is a whole other topic. But even in a world of AI, communications professionals or public relations professionals or media relations professionals, whoever falls within those umbrellas, and then even expanding into social media, all the things, there will always be a need for people in those roles because the perspectives are so vastly different and the evolution into the work is vastly different. And at the end of the day, everything revolves around communications. I'm coming down to my last few minutes before I'm going to cap the episode, but one of the last takeaways from open workshopping questions with students is this topic around networking and how to start conversations with either mentors or leaders or managers within the companies that students have an interest of hopefully working for one day, and how to make a connection with them. Now, I have so many insights on how to reach out to people to strike up conversations in a number of different ways, whether it's just wanting to build a relationship, wanting to network, having a direct call to action, or wanting to open space to maybe ask them questions to get some insights on whatever the format may be. But one of the things that I prefaced with the students was more so, again, around mindset, more so around courage and curiosity, more so courage in this context. Now, one of the students had asked how to get into broadcasting environments. They had mentioned that there was a broadcasting network that they could see themselves working at one day. And they had some questions around how to stand out amongst the other competition or the other people who are also interested in very similar positions at that network. This is not necessarily the most formal action step or action strategy that you can take, but I wanted the students to know that the right mentor, the right guide, the right manager, the right leader, especially if you really want to work at an organization because you love the way that they lead, the way that they guide, the way that their morals, their ethics, their values are directly aligned with who you are as a person, I would assume that their managers, their people, their leaders also live and breathe the same values, ethics, morals that are encapsulated within the brand and within the organization. So, with that said, they are always or should be open to connecting with those curious, inquiring minds that have goals and aspirations of working with them one day. allowing space to be created where you can take them out to coffee or get them on a Zoom call or have a phone conversation or just open a message of connection to be able just to tell them about who you are, what it is that you're looking for, and just trying to create an impression and an imprint to think of you when an opportunity might arise. Now, I, again, always look from my own lens. I am that type of leader. I am that type of guide. I am that type of mentor. I opened up a dialogue with the students that if there was any other questions that they had outside of our session together, that my inbox was open, that my LinkedIn was open and available for them, and that if there was any connections that I can make on their behalf, that was an opportunity that I wanted to pay it forward. That to me is a leader. That to me is a guide. That to me is a mentor. It's creating space to give your time, to give your insights, to give your knowledge to somebody who it can have a significant impact on their life and their trajectory in life. This leads me into my close and my call to action for this episode. If you know of an organization or a team or a group or community that is looking for a strategic mentor or a strategic guide or a speaker to come in and talk about some of the things that I've covered in this episode, but also just maybe shedding some light into other areas of PR, communications, conscious thinking, conscious mindset, working on my more formal topics. But if there's anybody that comes to mind or any group that could really benefit from insights like this, I am very interested in opening a conversation to see what that could look like for us to partner together in that way. As you can tell, I am very passionate about mentorship, and this experience with Vanguard has actually opened up another goal of mine, which maybe not a goal, but I think just this vision of my long-term plan over the next 10, 15, who knows how many years, just this future version of myself where I could work as an adjunct professor talking about entrepreneurship or business or public relations or communications, whatever it looks like. I could definitely see myself being this light, this guide to help shape the minds of our youth. Because again, they just encompass and embody all of this energy of courage and curiosity. And I believe that we can go far as a society if we really do lead with curiosity to learn from one another, to know more about one another, and to open up space for personal growth and how that applies to our careers and success.